Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Fierce and Feisty Bullseye. Today I'm actually going to talk to you guys about the proper grip and stance for more of that competitive shooting. However, it can also be used for static bench shooting as well. I do actually teach the same thing to my students, but you'll definitely see a lot of competitive shooters using this same method. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that I am currently filming and shooting at my local gun range, which I do have permission to shoot at. It is a safe action bay, and so it is surrounded by berms, and so just to make sure everyone knows that this is definitely a safe place to shoot. So let's get started. Recoil management is one of those things that's actually pretty difficult to achieve unless you are just practice, right? And so with recoil management, most of the time what people are struggling with is the actual grip. But something that people do forget about is the stance as well. And so when it comes to the stance, what we typically see when we have poor recoil management is you've got locked knees, right? Or even your feet might be close together, which is just not good because as you can see, even me standing here, I typically want to lean back like this. So when it comes to recoil management, what we normally like to see is going to be bent knees and or a staggered stance. And so if we are locked knees and we are completely a locked out arm, then what will happen when that gun goes off is we will go back like this, right? You don't want to sway or anything like that. Plus you risk your muzzle going over the berm anyway. So when you have bent knees, and we're not talking like a full-on squat, right? You don't have to squat. We're not at the gym. Typically what we'll see is when we have a staggered stance and we have a bent knees, then when we push out into ready, typically what will happen is that we actually don't see much movement at all, if anything. Now, of course, that goes into also having a straight stance too. So a lot of people, what we might see is them leaning back like this, especially our newer students. They love to lean back like this because they're basically like, I don't want to be near the gun, right? And so I always have to tell my students, make sure you're actually leaning upright and a little bit forward. We don't have to be completely straight stance. I mean, a lot of people, that natural stance is going to be a little bit of that hunched over because that's what we're all taught, right, is the hunch. Well, you don't have to hunch completely, right? You just have to have sort of a straight stance like this, and then you got a little bit of a hunch over so that you can get to the eye that you use dominantly. So now that we've talked about fixing that stance, let's actually talk a little bit about the grip itself, which the grip, to be honest, is probably one of the hardest things for a lot of people to overcome. It's really difficult to really get that perfect balanced grip down, but I'll at least give you some pointers on kind of how to get past that left-sided shooting if you're right-handed or the opposite if you're left. So a lot of the times what we actually see with a weak grip is that you're not really properly holding the gun. So as an example, I'm going to draw out my pistol here and show that this pistol is clear currently and there's nothing in the actual magazine well, right now at least. But what we really want to not see is a grip that is low on the base. The other thing that we see a lot of is crossing thumbs. You might be crossing thumbs like this. You might still have your thumbs up, but you're still really low on this base. When we are low like that, then what we really want to do is fix that grip. So we will come up really high and tight against that beaver tail. And I'm going to push this right thumb actually against the frame. The next thing I'm going to do is bring that support hand in, and that support hand, what will happen is these two fingers will match on either side. So you can kind of see how they're both matching, and then my remaining fingers will wrap around the others. And then what I'll usually do is I'm going to push my left thumb also against the frame, and then when I am doing my squeeze, I will only be squeezing my pinky and my ring finger of my left hand. This is where that 60-40 comes in. I'm going to squeeze 60% with my left hand and only about 40% with my right hand. What that will do is we'll actually balance out the left-sided shooting for a right-handed shooter. So this is how a grip should properly look if you are gripping it correctly. So now what I'm actually going to show is a weak grip and an improper stance and how that recoil looks when I go to fire my gun. So what I'm going to show you guys first is going to actually be the weak grip. So I'm going to have my legs pretty close together, locked out knees, and then what I'm going to have is a really low grip and a loose grip as well. What I see a lot is a lot of crossing thumbs, which, to be perfectly honest, that is a revolver grip. We are not shooting revolvers, are we? Let's go ahead and we're going to present out. I'm going to lock my arms, lock my knees, lean back, and also have an improper grip. Locked out. Super, super soft grip. Oh yeah, definitely feel that recoil. It's not fun. Recoil sucks. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fix everything. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fix my feet. Those feet need to be staggered, the knees need to be bent. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stand up straight. So I'm not going to lean back. I'm going to make sure I'm standing up straight. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get super tight up against that beaver tail. I'm going to make sure that I've got a nice tight grip with that hand. My support hand's going to come in. I'm going to lay that little sucker right up against the gun. My fingers do match on either side, and then I'm going to bring those other 4 fingers to wrap around my dominant hand. Now I'm going to be squeezing about 60% with my left hand, and then when I go to present out, I'm going to have a little bit of a bend in my arms. So as you can see, the recoil is much, much less when it comes to having a proper grip and a proper stance. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I really hope that this video was helpful when it comes to grip and stance for competition. If you enjoyed this video or you want to see more like it, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to follow me on social media. I hope you have a fierce and feisty day. Hey guys, Jana here. Blech. Today we're going to talk about the proper grip and the proper stance. That should be blech. So now that we've talked about actually bending those knees a little bit, having that staggered stance. Sorry, buddies. I'm getting really cold, so my brain is foggy. So now that we've... Birdie. Aw, little birdie, I'm going to be shooting soon. Please go back to your nest. Okay, bye.